At the 45 of Baltimore. Brunell back in the pocket. Has a bit of time now being chased. Plants throws. He's looking downfield. He's got a receiver. And it is caught. Jimmy Smith at the 5. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Wayne starts for 45 yards. Barks out for signals. Drops to throw. Has time. Fires the slant. Jimmy's got it this time. 35, 30. Middle of the field. 20. He's going to the 20-yard line. He's going to score. 10, 5. Jimmy Smith. Touchdown. And the Jaguars are right back in this ball game. Barks out the signals. Pressure coming. Steps up. Steps. Turns. Throws. He's got Jimmy. First down. 20. There he goes. 10, 5. Touchdown. Win. Jacksonville. Done under pressure. Steps to avoid. Turns and throws. He's got him in. Caught Jimmy inside the 40-yard line to the 37 and down to the 36.
Congratulations to Jimmy Smith. That is now his 800th career reception, and what a play to get it on.
This team winning right now, it helps bring so much attention to our franchise, what we did back in the day, like we were talking about, these Hall of Fame conversations. But when we're winning, we see the conversations pick up. So we have noticed that. So obviously, I'm pulling for my team to get to this Super Bowl.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome into Jaguars Today as we continue through the week. Just about a week away from NFL free agency opening up. Not really full-fledged on that front today, although good morning, Tony Smith.
Good morning.
Today is Franchise Tag Day, and I've tagged you for the 17th consecutive year. Feels like longer than that. You and I have worked together for a long time.
Long time, yeah.
What has it been? 23, 24 years in some capacity?
22, 23, something like
Something
that.
like that. I don't know, man. It's double digits on the decades. But regardless, we always tend to get excited. We try to temper our expectations about some of the players that are going to be available in free agency. And then, unfortunately, from our perspective, some of those guys kind of get taken out of the pool.
Yeah.
Trey Smith might be the best player in free agency, certainly the best interior offensive lineman. He gets the tag. He's going to get paid like a tackle for 1 year. I'm not going to give Kansas City the draft capital that it would take. I don't know what it would take. They probably want him back if they're willing to pay him $23 million for a single year to play guard. But, nobody gives up the 2 first-round picks, or rarely has it happened in NFL history, but you can negotiate the price. A lot of people think that's what's going to happen with Cincinnati with T. Higgins, but those are probably the 2 guys that, in a perfect world, you're the most interested in terms of their fit and the needs for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, generally speaking, the way I always approach that stuff, or at least try to, is any of the names that are at that kind of caliber, I just look at it and say they're not going to be there.
Probably not going to be there.
Right? So I try to kind of assume that if you're making plans for the offseason, assume that the guys that, if they were on your team and you'd be like, no way they're walking. No way they're walking. We're not letting T. Higgins walk if we had him. Then I'd be, no, they're not letting him walk. Right? Like, that's the way I try to approach those kinds of things. There's no reason for them to let those kind of players walk. I kind of half felt that way about Trey Smith through the whole process. The only thing that made it complicated was tagging a guard is different than tagging any of the tackles. He's going to get paid like a premier tackle for a year. Are you willing to basically do that for a season if you're Kansas City? Well, they've made it very clear they are, right? And it makes sense when you look at the quality player that he is. It's 1 year. There's not like you can go out and replace him in free agency. Right? If you let him walk.
It's not a great crop of guards.
No, there never is. It's just one of those positions. That kind of quality player at that position, they just don't hit free agency basically ever unless they're kind of towards the end of their contract.
And I don't think every team would tag Trey Smith. Obviously, Kansas City's in a position where they won 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
They've been in the final game all 3 times.
And what else are they going to spend that money on?
It's championship or bust for them. I mean, Kelsey sounds like he's back for maybe 1 more year. I don't think they can count on anything beyond that. And if that's the case, all their chips are in the middle of the table. And they should be.
It's as surprising as anything is that it sounds like Tampa's not going to use it on Godwin.
Yeah.
That is very, very surprising to me that they extended the window for them to try to work this whole thing out, get a contract done, whatever it was going to be. It felt like, okay, they're on the brink of whatever it's going to be for Godwin in Tampa. Well, here we are. And it sounds, all the reports indicate they're not going to be using the tag on Godwin.
And that's an interesting thing, too, because they know if they're making progress with him or not. Do you want to force a guy to come back? And look, that's a tool at the owner's disposal. The players give them that tool in the negotiating process. So, people hate being tagged generally, but it's pretty good lifetime security, even that 1 year. And I know you're expected to make a lot more money than that in your NFL career at this stage of where these players are. But,
sure.
I mean, if you can't get by with $26 million, so if somebody gives you $26 million before taxes, take half of it. You got $13 million after taxes. If T. Higgins can't get by on that, that's on T. Higgins. You know what I mean? And we talked about this before. What is it, 140% increase, I think, for the third tag, right?
Yep.
So, okay, big deal. 140%. So that would be $36.4 million next year for T. Higgins. The top of the market's going to be higher than that, right? Now, if you're talking about, or whatever the franchise tag number would be, whichever one's higher, but this number would probably be higher. I don't think the average of the top five is going to be 36, but if they had to pay T. Higgins $36 million next year, I don't see why they couldn't do that if they have that kind of space. It's not outrageous if they feel like they're a championship contending team, and I get it. It's a lot of money to have tied up in one position. Maybe they won't even have that option. Maybe they will flip T. Higgins. But again, then you start to get into, okay, T. Higgins' starting price on a contract is going to be $26 million to begin with, and it's only going to rise from that point. So are you willing to give T. Higgins $30 million a year and give draft compensation to the Cincinnati Bengals for the rights to have him? Maybe some team will, Tony. It's not a great wide receiver class. Not everyone's going to get Ted McMillan, who a lot of people have compared to T. Higgins, and again, we talked about him yesterday with the potential red flag of him not running a 40 this year. But regardless, a few of the prime players taken off the market, I'd definitely be interested. I heard you and Jeff and Dan talking about it. If 100% healthy, what Chris Godwin did in the Liam Cohen offense last year, what he was on pace to do, was better than anything Christian Kirk's done in his career. I would take Chris Godwin over Christian Kirk. But then you get into the amount of finances. What are you going to have to pay Chris Godwin? If you move on from Christian Kirk, you can save some of that money against the cap, but you're still taking a pretty prohibitive cap hit and all that. So there are a lot of things that certainly go into it in terms of who they're going to pursue here.
Before last season, when he only played the 7 games, by the way, in the 7 games, he had 50 catches, 576 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Before that, he had 3,000-yard seasons in a row.
Right.
Like Godwin is a really, really productive player.
He's a good player. He's not like the super elite, but he has been, I think, a better player than Christian Kirk.
And you've already seen what it looks like in a Liam Cohen offense.
Yeah.
So
he thrived.
Whatever would happen with him being brought here, if they said we're going to bring in Godwin and say goodbye to Kirk, I'd be like, all right, sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, it would make sense on paper in terms of improving the overall play of the football team.
And you're not going to find in free agency a better football player to replace Christian Kirk with the options that are available in free agency than Chris Godwin. The Jags aren't going to be the only team interested in him. So I don't know what the price is going to be on Godwin ultimately. But, yeah, if they decided to go that direction with it, I'd be in favor of it.
Other guys out there, Darius Slay get released yesterday. The Eagles releasing James Bradbury. This just came down, designated as post-June 1st release. It does feel like the market is going to be most flush at the cornerback position. So I'll tell you already, I think we've all knocked out our mock for the week, which we'll take a look at tomorrow. I went in again. I think the safest assumption is that the Jags are going to sign a veteran cornerback if you're looking at one position that they're going to add to in free agency at this point.
Yeah, and you can look at that Eagles team. They are releasing Darius Slay as well.
Yeah.
Right? So a couple of veteran corners, it tells you they feel really good about what they've done in the draft the last couple of years at that position. So they can go cheap at corner and not have to pay the big exorbitant price at their veteran spots in that room and still feel okay about what the future of it's going to be. It's why hitting the draft is as important as it is. It gets you to, Darius Slay made sense when they signed him, and he's helped them. He's a good player and has been in Philadelphia too. But now they're getting the young guys in. These older guys are going to be like, we don't have to pay this for that. The room's good.
Look, they got Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean last year.
Even
their
with
first
them
and second pick.
leaving the room, it's like, we're fine.
Absolutely. And look, they won the Super Bowl, so basically even the mistakes they made kind of get washed over in that.
Some degree, yeah.
The net result of what they did was the best that anyone did in the National Football League because they're holding the Lombardi Trophy right now, a place the Jags would obviously like to get to. Dylan Denmark, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
What's the most impressive trophy that you've ever won, Dylan, or ribbon, or you know what I'm saying?
Medal.
Even if a trophy didn't come with it, what's the most impressive thing that you've ever won?
I would either say when I coached a couple of years ago, the city championship when we won for middle school track. I hold that in high regard, and then the district title the year after.
All right. 2021,
2022 for football.
How are things going with Baldwin right now?
Good so far. We got our second track meet tonight, so we'll see what we do. Run at Raines High School, so we'll see how it goes. Our first track meet last week was pretty good, so.
All right.
Got to go. Short season. I mean, the season just started in districts is late April, so we got like 8-week season and comes and goes.
You know what they say about track season, Tony?
Goes in circles.
It's a sprint. All right, coming up, we've got Jamal St. from Channel 4 in about 25 minutes from now. And let's see, Jordan Reed over at ESPN has put out a mock draft, 2-round mock. You might have already checked it out if you're a Jaguar fan. No great surprise. This was classic Jaguar fandom in a nutshell, though, this morning, Tone, as I turn on. Oh, just out, right? It's like SportsCenter just released, just came out moments ago. Jordan Reed's mock. Number 1 pick, the Giants trade up and take Cam Ward. Number 2, Shedeur Sanders goes to the Browns. That's a surprise. Number 3 pick, Abdul Carter goes to Tennessee after they move back. Travis Hunter to the Patriots with the number 4 pick. Number 6 pick, I mean, literally, that's what they did. They went 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they said, and then the Raiders took Ashton Jeanty at 6.
Oh, so the broadcast was that commercial while the Jags picked, you're telling me?
I guess. I mean, that's what it seemed like, and it was like, I get it. I inferred that Mason Graham would be their pick and or Jordan Reed's pick, and it turned out to be accurate. So the way he described it, he thinks those 3 guys, the non-quarterbacks there in the top 5, are the only 3 blue chippers in this draft, which is interesting. Depends on, I think a lot of people think Jeanty is a blue chipper. It just depends on what you value that position at in a deep running back draft. So today, if you want to talk Jaguar football, 641-1010 on the phone lines or the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. You can hop in the YouTube virtual studio chat over there as well. On social media today, our question of the day is asking you, who are the top 5 offensive building blocks for your Jacksonville Jaguars? You can consider talent, production, age, contract status, salary, whatever you like, and come up with your list of 5. You can submit those on social media if you like, at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws, baby.
And we'll get to our list as well as the program rolls along today. Keeping an eye on any NFL news with releases and all that. As teams are setting the table for their entry into free agency next week. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Door Studios. Superior products, exceptional service. Because touchdowns are more fun.
Pump fakes left, now throws it over the middle. Touchdown! 3 touchdowns tonight.
1010XL.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Get a healthy start in 2025. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to encourage you to get healthy and stay healthy this year. They have a dedicated team who are committed to providing quality care. The goal is to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Visit duval.floridahealth.gov to learn more about their health programs and services. That's duval.floridahealth.gov.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Coolidge is the cat that cares about your heating and about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town.
Get to know positions and players. The 1010XL Ultimate Draft Guide is brought to you by Blue Haven Pools, the #1 pool builder in Jacksonville. Follow rankings and roundtables as the draft takes shape. Go to 1010XL.com/2025 draft guide to get yours.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with WonderWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WonderWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WonderWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WonderWorld, and to top it off, WonderWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WonderWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WonderWorld today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at WonderWorldNEFlorida.com.
WonderWorld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts, sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia Demo Truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville. All the details on their Facebook page.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Oh, you know what I did, Tony, in the last couple of days? I broke the seal on fantasy drafts for 2025.
Yeah.
I have 8 currently ongoing right now, which, if I keep it there, is manageable. I guarantee you last year.
No way you're keeping it
I
at 8.
know, man, because I get into the 7th round and I'm like, I want to start
again.
And then I start 5.
Yeah.
Last year I probably had 30 going at one time. And that was a little too much even for me.
Those include rookies?
Actually, they do, yes. Which I wouldn't do that like in a dynasty league where you're going to keep these guys for the long term. I don't believe in drafting rookies before you know where they go. But in this case, if it's only for 2025 and everyone's in the same boat, we don't know where Ashton Genty is going to go.
Guessing, yeah.
Yeah, I know where Ashton Genty is going to go in the draft, but I don't know where he's going to go in the draft, if that makes sense. Not the NFL draft. But he's going to go in the second round of a lot of fantasy drafts. And if he goes to Dallas, that'll probably jump up to round 1.
Could, yeah.
When it's all said and done. So, anyway, so my head's in that space. I don't know what space my head is in on today's top 5 list. But I know what space it's not in, apparently. It's apparently not in a certain offensive lineman space, right? Because I'm looking at one of the most recent 5s that we got in from somebody here on Twitter. And Irv went with his 5. These are offensive building blocks for the Jags. Trevor Lawrence, Tank Bigsby, Brian Thomas Jr., Anton Harrison. He just lists their last name, and then he says Little. And I'm getting ready to write a snarky reply. What offensive position does Cam Little play? Oh, you mean Walker Little. Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess somebody might consider him a building block. And look, I get it. He's not the only person who's mentioned it, but that, I think, shows you where my mind is.
Yeah, we've had plenty of the Cam Little entries in the top 5 offensive. I'm like, all right, he scores points, guys, but he doesn't play offense.
Right, but in this case, I'm sure Irv was probably talking about Walker Little.
I'm sure he was.
And I just immediately just skipped right to the better of the Littles on this team, you know. But if you could include him, I think you could make a pretty strong argument based on that rookie season that he would be one of your 5 on the offensive side. It was not our intention to include Cam Little on offense.
No,
you know, so
I've seen it enough. Yeah, there's plenty of people that have responded with Cam Little at 5.
And so be it. I mean, whatever. It's your list, man. It's just, I'm
not saying that 5 wasn't difficult to figure out which of these guys that I don't love as a building block do I put at 5.
There's 2 guys that have to be on there, in my opinion, and then everyone else is debatable.
Yeah.
Everyone else is debatable. And I think, you know, there are probably a few. I haven't gone through all the entry submissions to this point. I'm assuming both that are in all the lists, but I know one. I know Brian Thomas is going to make everybody's 5. I'm assuming Trevor Lawrence makes everyone's 5, but
I don't think I've seen one without him in it.
That's what I'm saying, right? But, you know, when you factor
he's in, all over the 5.
Right, there's some people that doubt him. Then you add the contract in, and you could factor that in and all that. I still like, who would bring you a better return in a trade? Trevor Lawrence or Brian Thomas Jr., even with the contracts as they are? Who do you think would bring a better return?
Brian Thomas.
I think it'd be Trevor Lawrence still. Because particularly this year, with this quarterback class, I think you could absolutely see some teams saying, oh, I think Trevor Lawrence is better than anybody in this quarterback class. Now, whether you agree with that or not, and I'm not saying they deal with Tennessee, but think of Cleveland, for instance, or the Giants.
Like, that's one of those where if Brian Thomas Jr. was already on his second contract and we were having this conversation, easy, Trevor. Like, in my mind, I think it's the rookie deal for Brian Thomas Jr. Maybe.
I get it, but let's say the Giants wanted Brian Thomas Jr. What do you think would be reasonable for them to give for him? The 3rd pick? I think
that's not unreasonable.
Not unreasonable, right? Yeah. I think they'd have at least give you the 3rd pick.
Yeah.
I think the Jags would even look. I'm not saying the Jags are going to trade Brian Thomas Jr. Don't get me wrong. This is
they're
a
not trading
hypothetical
either
exercise,
of these guys.
Right? They're not. But I'm just saying hypothetically, right? So the Giants want Brian Thomas Jr. Right? Be the best receiver in the draft, in their opinion. Okay, so would they give the 3rd pick? Yeah, that seems fair. We'll take that. We would gladly take him at 3.
Yeah.
If you want the quarterback, like for instance, in Jordan Reed's mock, I don't know what he's got the Giants giving up to move up to number 1 with Tennessee, but he's got him moving up. Well, So that's giving up 3 plus whatever to close the gap to get up to 1. So it's maybe another first rounder next year, maybe a couple of seconds.
I'm looking at the article here. They sent the first, a second this year, and a third round pick next year.
First, second, and a third.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd get that for Brian Thomas, right? So that would be to get Cam Ward.
Right.
Now, granted, Cam Ward would be on a rookie deal, right? So there's some difference. But could you see the Giants, even with Trevor Lawrence being under this contract that's going to pay him like one of the top guys in the league here coming up, desiring Trevor Lawrence at the age of 25, mid-20s?
Yeah, multiple firsts would not be off the table.
Right, so I do think that Trevor would still, even with the contract, bring more. That doesn't mean you have to have him number 1 on your list of building blocks, whatever. We'll get into that. I just thought it was interesting. That my mind immediately skipped over Walker Little, for me personally. I think I'm with you. I don't know if I've seen one that has not included Trevor Lawrence, but I wouldn't surprise me if we put it this way. If we pulled 10,000 Jaguar fans, some would leave Trevor out. Nobody would leave Brian Thomas Jr. out, who's anywhere in their right mind.
No.
Right? I mean, just come on. He's already proven to be a Pro Bowl level talent on a rookie
even the
deal.
Trevor one, it's almost like I'm going to prove a point to Trevor. I'm not putting him in my list.
There might be some of that.
Yeah.
Right? But nobody would do that with Brian Thomas. Nobody. Right? Like, if you did it, you'd just be doing it to get your name mentioned or something ridiculous like that. So anyway, in this mock, which again, ESPN went 1 through 4, skipped the Jags and said, let's look at 6. And those were the only picks they looked at. It went quarterback. I don't know how likely this is. But, you never know, Tone. Maybe it won't be Shedeur Sanders. Maybe Jackson Dart climbs up there. But it is interesting in a year where there are always teams that need quarterbacks, like these teams at the top do. One of those teams is potentially willing to trade out of the quarterback tier, like the first-round quarterback tier. What does that tell you if that happens? Now, we don't know. This is a projection. We don't know what Tennessee is going to think. Maybe they're going to fall in love and take Cam Ward. I would think that's the most likely path that they go because, all right, you don't take Cam Ward. Then you stumble into 5 wins this year, 6 wins, and you're picking 8th next year. Then what, right? And you're not in position.
Sure.
I think you got to take that chance.
You're
if
in
you
position
don't
to get the
Will
quarterback
Levis.
now. It makes sense. I do think the scenario on the players that are coming off the board is the most likely draft scenario, with it being the 2 quarterbacks, Carter and Hunter, in some order. Right? I think that's the most likely first 4 players that get called.
Which left Mason Graham for the Jags, which, I think a lot of people would be content with or at least conditioned to accept at that point in time. And then Gray Zabel goes 1 pick ahead of us in round 2. And the Jags take Azaria Thomas, the Florida State cornerback. So back-to-back years with the Florida State corner, which as the board stands now is not outrageous.
No.
Like I would have preferred Gray Zabel. He was gone. But again, I think this is a position likely to get filled here next week by some level. Put it this way, to the point where I think it's unlikely that they're going corner that early. I'm not, with all the picks that they have, I think I got them taking 1 or 2 corners still in the draft, and I'm back to projecting them signing a corner in free agency for my mock this week.
I think when we start talking about top of the second round for what the Jaguars could do in the draft, even if they were to sign a corner in free agency, I think there's a chance that a guy like that is available at the top of the second round and is pretty clearly their top player left on their board, right? And the way that he's being talked about right now, the end of the first round is not out of play.
No, it's not.
For him. So it's not unreasonable to think that Azaria would be the top-ranked player on the board. I don't think anything that could happen in free agency at that position, given the value of corner in the National Football League, would put you at a spot where it's like, no, we're going to go to the next position.
I don't know, man.
And skip on that one because there is so many interior offensive linemen in this draft, which is where they could go instead. There is so much edge, it feels like, in this draft, which is where they could go instead. I think the other positions they could address, I'm not skipping my top-rated player at that position despite whatever I did in free agency.
If you go spend $15 million a year on a corner to start opposite Tyson Campbell, who's getting a huge amount of money, and you just drafted your nickel last year, where's he going to play? That's a bad use of resources to me in that scenario.
But at the NFL, I get it. I'm not saying it's the best use of resources. I'm not saying that it would be that. But in that spot, I'm not at that position, I'm not foregoing the opportunity to take what I think is the best player available.
By the way, Rams hit on a lot of late-round defensive backs.
They did.
In the time James Gladstone was there, learning at the feet of Les Snead and company out in Los Angeles. All right, coming up next, we've got Jamal St. weighing in on all things Jaguars from Channel 4. Next hour, we'll get into today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. Who are your top 5 offensive building blocks that are currently on the Jacksonville Jaguars roster? Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Over 10 years in the business, over 23,000 satisfied clients who've lost over 750,000 combined pounds. Lose weight quickly, but do it the right way, in a way that your body's going to be able to maintain, and that is a big part of Awaken 180. It's not just losing the weight, getting the results. You'll get the real results. More importantly, they'll be lasting results. Free support for life was and still is the backbone of the Awaken 180 program. In other words, you set a goal weight, they'll set out a plan, a timeline, show you when you're going to be able to reach that goal weight, and once you do, you lock it in, you're going to get free coaching and support for life from Awaken 180, and you're going to eat to lose weight along the way. It's a lot of fun, actually, watching the numbers drop on the scale practically daily, but certainly weekly, dropping 4 to 5 pounds at a time. If you've made those New Year's resolutions that you can't stick to, here's one you can. Awaken 180 online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL, here's another look behind the microphone at 1010XL with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. Mornings on 1010XL.
What's with the rubber pants?
Here's Linda Beaver.
At Beaver Toyota, we believe your experience should be more than just buying a car. It should be a lifetime of confidence, care, and trust. We're proud to offer a lifetime warranty, lifetime oil changes, and lifetime customer service. We're not just here to sell you a car. We're here to establish a lifelong relationship that you can always count on. It's simple. You deserve the best and shouldn't settle for less. Visit Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine, where we're ready to give you peace of mind for a lifetime. We're here to wow you.
This is the sound of real people across Florida betting on sports. It's the sound of winning your bet, only on Hard Rock Bet. And if your first bet doesn't win, you get up to $100 back to try again. Hard Rock Bet is Florida's only legal sports book. Your home for betting hoops for any sport you choose. Download Hard Rock Bet now and get 2 shots at your first bet. Win, or you'll get up to $100 back as a bonus bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to play. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Make the most of every lawn with Kubota commercial landscaping equipment. From the productivity-boosting Z700 mower to the reliable SVL track loader, it's a lineup built to get the job done right. Because when your reputation is on the line, you need equipment that will never let you down. Visit Coastal Equipment in Jacksonville or McClenny.
Power for the great outdoors. Coastal Equipment.
Coastal Equipment on New Kings Road and in McClenny.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Need or want cash? Beach's Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all, selling or pawning. Get cash on the spot at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Big names, new jerseys.
To me, the most important aspect of winning is chemistry.
Follow the free agent frenzy. Built by Superior Fence and Rail and Roland Leash Plumbing. Tune up the off-season with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. RJ here with 1010XL, and you'll be assured of a quality delivery. That's for sure. Log on and order online at kuhnflowers.com.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students.
Florida homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contract protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Spend $6,000 and get up to $600 off. $15,000 up to $2,000 off. $20,000 up to $3,000 off. This deal ends March 31st. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Hello, I'm George Maxey, Executive Director of Elevate Jacksonville. Thank you to the Players Championship for helping us change the lives of Jacksonville youth in our community. It's only 7 days until the Players.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, we are seconds away from welcoming in Jamal St. here from Channel 4. Tone, I just noticed in the YouTube chat, people saying, no way we would trade Brian Thomas for the third pick. We'd want at least another first-rounder. The point being, I don't think it'd be outrageous for the Giants to open with an offer of, hey, here's the third pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Right? And whatever that cost would be, and I tend to agree, because could you replace Brian Thomas with the third pick in the draft? No, I don't think you could. So you could argue he is worth more than that, and that's fair. And again, this whole thing's a hypothetical. My point is, no matter what price you put on it, I think the price would be higher for Trevor Lawrence, even with the contract on top of that. So anyway, hypothetical city out the window as we get to the reality of Jamal St. joining us here on Jaguars Today. Jamal, good morning. How are you, bud?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're doing all right. Waiting for free agency, the whole rhythm of the offseason going by here. And now that the dust has settled a little bit, right? We've got new coaching staff, new front office, new executive vice president. Has anything surprised you about something different than you expected to hear from Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, Tony Baselli, or the way they're going about their business? Or, what is, after with a little bit of time for all this to wash over you, how do you feel about the way the Jags have ended up?
I'm surprised with the way it ended up, honestly. I mean, it was we started with that awkward Zoom press conference with Shad and Trent that feels like it was like forever ago. And then all of a sudden you kind of fast forward to now, which really wasn't that much time elapsed, and all of a sudden you feel a whole lot better. Because I can tell you, I remember sitting there watching that Zoom, and I was like, oh, this is bad. This is real bad. And then you get online, and people are ripping them for it left and right. And then all of a sudden you fast forward, and then there's a new head coach, a new general manager, a new EVP, and everything all of a sudden is hunky-dory. I mean, Sean McVay was on Pat McAfee yesterday telling everybody about how great he thinks James Gladstone is. And the first thing that pops into my mind is I've never heard anybody say one nice thing about Trent Baalke publicly. Mm-hmm. So it feels like there's a breath of fresh air all of a sudden just completely around the team because they've changed everything. And while everybody is like, oh, this is great right now, wins and losses will define it, it just feels so much different than the way things have been for a long time.
What do you make of the youth movement and the front office and the coaching staff?
The last go-around, they went with the guy who had been a head coach. He'd won a Super Bowl. A lot of his staff had experience. The quarterback coach, Mike McCoy, was a former head coach. And that didn't work. It honestly didn't. So they're trying something different. And honestly, a lot of the stuff that the last regime was doing was antiquated-ish. They were relying on some of the things like arm length and things that, a lot of teams have kind of moved away from at times or don't buy into as heavily as the Jaguars still were. So I see this kind of as the Jaguars into this new era of football. Are there going to be times where there's stuff that may, because of inexperience, that maybe they don't know how to handle or misproperly manage? It could happen. But, I mean, I think Liam Cohen said it's not like these guys don't have people on speed dial that are willing to answer the phone and help them if they need somebody's brain to pick. So while, yeah, the inexperience and definitely the youth movement is one thing, I still would have loved, a senior assistant of somebody that has been there and done that. I mean, almost like Antonio Pierce had Tom Coughlin, as his assistant kind of last year. Same basic principle. Just a guy who's hanging out in the building that they don't have to pick up the phone to call. That's always kind of there. But I think those guys also don't just grow on trees. You can't just find these guys hanging out. So while I think it'll be fine, I think ultimately this was the right move. I think it's time to shake it up a little bit. Would some experience have been great? Sure, but it's not like these guys weren't highly sought after. I mean, Grant Udinski's probably the youngest one on the staff, and he had interviewed for just about every head coach, or not head coaching, but offensive coordinator position that was open this offseason. So clearly teams around the league thought pretty highly of this guy because they were all trying to talk to him.
Yeah, no question about it. Jamal St. here, Channel 4 here with us. Jamal, a lot of focus on the combine, and then you're going to have pro day workouts, going to have free agency next week. The Jags have a couple of their own players that there's been a lot of speculation swirling around, and they could move on from, save some cap space, being Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. I don't need to get into particulars. You know what they are. Would you like to see them both back, and do you think they'll both be back with the Jaguars in 2025?
I'd like to see them both back, but I think the reality of the business is that it probably won't be both of them back. I think both of them are good leaders in the locker room. They're the type of guys that you can still trust on the field. And I think as we kind of go through this whole thing, honestly, the biggest thing that Liam Cohen and company have to do is figure out how to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence. And the one thing you want to do is put weapons around him. And right now, if you take one of those guys away, because no matter how we talk about whether it's injuries or fitting system, they are still some of his top weapons on this offense as we stand. And then you also have to figure out how to replace what they were bringing to the field, which is always tougher. So, look, I'd like to see them both back. I don't think they will be. I think Christian Kirk's going to figure out a way to be on this roster, or they'll figure out a way to have him on the roster. I think if there's a guy that I think is in the most jeopardy, it's probably Evan Ingram of sticking in Jacksonville, just for maybe the price tag that goes along with it and his fit in Liam Cohen's offense. So, plus you saw what Brenton Strange can already kind of do when he took the reins of the job last year, and he did pretty good work when he had the opportunity.
What does an ideal offseason look like for the Jaguars?
That's tough. Look, I think they got to shore up the offensive line. The interior of that offensive line has been bad. I mean, there's no way around it. It's just not good enough. That's the biggest thing. And I think you got to get Trevor Lawrence at least one more good wide receiver that you can depend on. They tried to do that with Gabe last year, and I think this offseason they got to figure out whether it was injuries that were the problem or if they got to move on or just replace him. So I think you got to shore up the offensive line. You got to get that, and then you got to get the secondary of that defense fixed up. So you need at least one more corner, and you got to figure out safety, because safety play last season was way too inconsistent. Was it just the defensive staff last year, or was it the players, or do you have to start fresh? What do you got to do? So those are the big questions, and all those they got to kind of start with free agency. And we've kind of reached that point where they're not going to be the big spenders that they've been in the past. They have some cap space to make some moves, but it's not like some of those years where they were going into the offseason and it was just, all right, every big name free agent, they're going to toss a bunch of money at them and try and see if they can draw them this way. They're not in that point in the process, and they don't have that much cap space to do it. So they're going to have to make some shrewd decisions along the way. Would love to see them go get a guy like Javon Holland from Miami to come and help shore up that safety spot. I mean, he's been fantastic there for a few years. Eric Stokes from Green Bay has some history with Coach Camp. Wouldn't mind if they went and shook that tree to see if he was coming down to be a corner for him. In the draft, sitting at 5, that one's tough. It's just going to depend on what happens in those first 4 picks, and maybe everybody holds their breath and hopes somehow, some way Travis Hunter's sitting there on the board. That seems like a dream scenario, right?
I mean, I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's the likely scenario. I think it would probably depend on 2 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks. And the other problem is, a lot of these mocks have the Patriots taking an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. They've got over $100 million in cap space. They can go out and fill a lot of positions and go into the draft and take whatever they feel is the best player available. So I think it's going to be hard to see Hunter getting by them. A lot of people think that Ted McMillan is the next best wide receiver if you consider Hunter a wide receiver. We talked about him yesterday, Jamal. Not going to run a 40. Didn't run one at the Combine. Not going to do it at the Pro Day. He's a big receiver, and that, to me, raises a red flag that he doesn't think he's going to run well at all. Is that a disqualifier for you, or is the tape good enough for you to consider him for the Jaguars?
I wish he would run the 40. I honestly do. But, we saw Marvin Harrison Jr. not run that 40 last year. And he had a solid rookie season, maybe not as spectacular as people wanted him to have. Look, I won't take him off the board because I think he's a really good player. And I think the pairing of having him and Brian Thomas Jr. would give you 2 receivers that are on rookie contracts that could both be really good. You already know what the Jaguars have in BT. And if you add T-Mac and you hit on that, all of a sudden you're looking at, basically a similar situation to what Cincinnati's built for Joe Burrow with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Now, you had to pay a little bit different in draft pick-wise to get there, but that's what you want to do. Look at the contracts that these receivers are getting on in free agency now. If you're going to get star receivers, you're going to have to get them in the draft. And the ability to have 2, if you hit on T-Mac, 2 receivers on rookie deals, it's tough to get better than that. Now, obviously you have the problem one day when it's time to give them those extensions, but that's 4 or 5 years down the line before you really run into that buzzsaw. So until then, you've got a chance to really see if you can make this thing work and have a dynamic offense. So that's tough for me to pass up that opportunity on, because I really think the pairing of BT for what he can do, he's a big, fast guy, and then you give the big jump ball guy on the other side. I think T-Mac would be a really good option. I like some of the offensive line guys, but I'd feel more comfortable, if they're going to go get one of them, trade back a few picks and pick up something. I know trading back's never the buzzword or really going to get you a Christmas card, but honestly, if you're going to go for the offensive line guys, I'd feel more comfortable if they got down to 10 to go do that. Mm-hmm. But if they're sitting at 5 and T-Mac's on the board, that might be the pick I'd run in.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, talking about the offensive line options that they're going to have there at 5, do you have an issue with a team selecting a player to play guard with the 5th pick in the draft?
I don't. Look, I know that there's the priority list of positions. If I had my way, I'd say that they probably will address offensive line at least some during free agency. So I think that'll play into this as we kind of move forward. But look, at the end of the day, if you got to protect Trevor Lawrence, you have to protect the quarterback. Everybody wants to be the Eagles. Well, the Eagles had one of the best offensive lines in football, and it's that simple. And Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley will tell you the same thing, that their offensive line was dominant. It was big and dominant. And the Jaguars' offensive line has not been dominant. I don't know when the last time they were. So, look, I think that is what they have to figure out how to fix. So if you're getting a guard, you'd love to say, okay, well, you're drafting Will Campbell, and in a year or two you're going to be moving him out to left tackle, so you weren't just drafting a guard. But if he's a guard and you get a guy who's going to be a long-term guard, the Zach Martin, for what he did for the Cowboys, moving from left tackle in college inside to guard and turns into a perennial all-pro at that position, I think we could live with that. I really do.
I'd take a perennial all-pro at almost any position at 5, right? If we knew, that's the problem. We can't know ahead of time. But I agree, the offensive linemen that are being considered in the top 10, most of them feel like they might start out as guards, but do have that positional flexibility, so you might get a little more value down the line. All right, Jamal, we're not going to ask you for a top 5, but today we are doing the top 5 offensive building blocks that are currently on the Jags roster. So let me put it to you this way. If you presume Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. are 2 of those 5, who is the other next most indispensable player on offense, factoring in everything, age, contract, performance on the field, the whole thing? Who's the next offensive guy that you'd say, we can't afford to lose this guy?
Whew, that's tough. Once you take Trevor and Brian Thomas Jr. off of it, the list really kind of starts to thin out quick, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. Which is why we asked you, man. We're not going to give you the low-hanging fruit like that.
Yeah, that one's tough. I mean, I'd say, at this point, it's probably like Anton Harrison or Travis Etienne. Because, you want Anton to take that next step and try and really help to solidify that offensive line. We saw flashes from him over the first 2 years of his career. Last year was a little bit rougher than that rookie year. But you hope that he can take that next step and really move forward and try and help that and lock that thing down. So I'd probably go Anton.
You know what? I might as well. And we'll unveil that in hour number 2, but I think it's a pretty good indication of where my mind's going. I think a lot of people, not everybody even has him in the top 5. That's kind of the thing, right? The next 3, 4, 5, you can make an argument for maybe 5 or 6 guys, and none of them that you're necessarily going to pound the table for outside of BTJ and Trevor Lawrence. Well, Jamal, keep up the great work, man. We appreciate the visits we've had with you, and we'll keep them up here in the off season, and we encourage folks to give you a follow out there if they don't already on social media at J St. Cyr TV. That's JSTCYR TV for Jamal St. Cyr of Channel 4. Thanks for the time, man, and hopefully the Jags make some quality moves in free agency next week.
Hey, we'll be keeping an eye on it. Appreciate you guys having me on as always.
Thank you, buddy. There he goes, Jamal St. Cyr out the door. And speaking of free agency, Tone, the ripple effect of the franchise tag is not only are certain guys off the table for you, but it raises the profile of other guys, including a guy that the Jags might have some interest in. We'll talk about that when we return in the moment. Halfway home, this is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Put some wedge in your next chassis adjustment. He said he was a little bit free. This Sunday at Phoenix, NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on your NASCAR station. 1010XL.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
Joe C. for Florida Home AC, and now's the time to tune up that heating and AC unit. Take advantage of their $69 seasonal tune-up special. Keep warm in the winter and cool in the summer with Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Fish know where to hide. Captain Kevin knows how to find them.
That's a big one.
Listen for the Wing Power Fishing Forecast Show, brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
The LPGA Stars of Tomorrow are at the Epson Tours Atlantic Beach Classic, presented by Access Golf, March 6th through the 8th at Atlantic Beach Country Club. Tickets available at AtlanticBeachClassic.com. See the ladies shine on the First Coast.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Tired of drafty, noisy vinyl windows? It's time to say goodbye to vinyl. And hello to lasting comfort with Renewal by Andersen Windows and Doors. Our exclusive Fibrex windows are 2 times stronger than vinyl, more energy efficient, and custom built to fit your home perfectly. No more warping, no more cracking, just beautiful, durable windows that stand the test of time. Right now, get special financing or save big with limited time discounts. Call Renewal by Andersen today and say bye-bye vinyl. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com. Don't wait. Upgrade today. License number CGC 1527613.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Out with the old, in with the organized. Mia here for my friends at Closets by Design. Freshen up your home this spring with a custom organization solution. For a limited time, take advantage of our spring special and enjoy exclusive savings on closets, garages, home offices, and more. That's 40% off with an additional 50% off with 12-month special financing through April. Spring on this deal before it's gone. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation with Closets by Design.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. From GFL, Green for Life.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control, a local family-owned business that's been chosen as the exclusive pest control provider for the brand new state-of-the-art Miller Electric Performance Center. As a Kingfish customer myself, I know their effectiveness in keeping spiders, roaches, bugs, and termites out. When I trust them for my family and the Jags trust them for their business, then you can too. For the best service in town, call my friends at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Riddle Wellness. The JU Dolphins advanced to the ASUN semifinals round after defeating Eastern Kentucky last night 78-67. After going into the half down by 11, the Dolphins' second half adjustments proved to be the difference when they outscored EKU 48-26. Dolphins head coach Jordan Mincy broke down what he changed in the second half to lead the Dolphins moving on to the next round.
So I think the biggest thing with us, we tried to switch the matchups. We put a bigger defender on. Felt like in the first half, we just wanted to put Kendall Munson, kind of, put more physicality around him. We also did a better job of putting Zach Bell on their primary ball handler, trying to make sure that we sped them up. We felt like in the first half, we really let them walk it down and get to their key spots. And our defense isn't predicated on trying to be in the half court that long. We want to make sure we speed people up.
It's 75 degrees at 10:57. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Jaguars Today here on 1010XL. Tony, we when it comes to free agency, which is coming up next week, I think we have talked a lot about the Javon Hollands of the world. Glad Jamal St. here brought him up. I was going to ask him who are some of the guys he's looking at. Eric Stokes, another name that he mentioned. I do think it's very likely the Jags add to the defensive backfield. But maybe we're looking at it, wrong, or not wrong, but maybe we're not getting the complete picture. We don't know what's inside the minds of James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli exactly at this moment. And while, yes, they want to build through the trenches and you want to build through the draft, you still have $40 million roughly, or a little less than that, in cap space. You're not just going to let it sit there.
Yeah.
They're going to go out and sign some guys. One guy whose profile may be going up right now is Darius Slayton, right? New York Giants, because T. Higgins is off the market. Chris Godwin coming off major injury, and the Bucs are still working to try to get a deal done with him by next week. They push back a clause in his contract, which allows them to negotiate right up until the start of the next league year. So maybe Godwin is off the market, even if they don't franchise tag him. I don't think we talk about Amari Cooper very much, and it's probably because he went to Buffalo and kind of disappointed, but he's been a guy who's done well for himself in a variety of stops around the league. Stephon Diggs, you want to take him on with the personality that comes with it when he doesn't get his way. He's seen as the kind of a guy who's a bit of a malcontent. He's coming off injury as well. Don't know if he's going to end up back with the Houston Texans or not. And then it starts to fall off when you talk about veterans. You got guys like DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, who have been good players, but are past their prime at this point in time. So Darius Slayton's an intriguing guy because he is a field stretcher, but because some of these other guys may be taken off, in a year where Darius Slayton might otherwise get, I don't know, $10 million or whatever the number is, like Khalil Shakir just got $15 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Shakir is looked at as the number one wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. Darius Slayton shouldn't be getting that kind of money, but he might be getting more money now and more suitors that some of these other names start to come off the board, which just, makes...
It's the way it works.
It is the way it works, right? But how much interest do you have in Darius Slayton for this football team?
A moderate amount.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because he is definitely a deep threat field stretcher. Not that Brian Thomas can't do that, but what's wrong with having a couple of those guys? Gabe Davis has been that in the past. I don't know what they think of Gabe Davis.
Right.
Parker Washington's going to have a spot on this team. Is Christian Kirk back? Is he not? And by the way, if you sign Darius Slayton, I don't think that precludes you from taking a wide receiver high in the draft.
I wouldn't think so.
You get Brian Thomas, who's your do-all guy. If you got that big-bodied, let's call him a possession type in Ted McMillan, for instance. Let's say you traded back to 7, Jets moved up, took Shador Sanders, you got McMillan there. And having that with Darius Slayton and Parker Washington for Trevor Lawrence to throw to?
It's pretty good.
I think that'd be all right. I think that would be a very solid wide receiver core. The other thing is we look at that 5th pick, and so often, like a Mason Graham, it's a deep defensive tackle draft. What about going for a guy who's a known commodity when it comes to that position? What about Milton Williams, who's like 25, 26 years old and just starred throughout the postseason for the Philadelphia Eagles, and by most accounts is considered the best. Now, he's a 3 technique, but that's what Graham is likely going to be. I mean, Graham weighed in at like, what was he, like 6'3", 296, something like that. Williams is 6'3", 290. But the difference is you've seen him play in the NFL, right? And you've seen him play very well. Kind of came along slowly. He had a lot of talent around him. That's a factor as well. But I think the Jags have talent on the edges here. Do you think we could, what's more likely? A pursuit of a guy like Darius Slayton or a pursuit of a defensive tackle like Milton Williams, who we haven't been talking about?
I think, it's interesting. I think it's likely a wide receiver.
I think it's more likely
pursuit.
Because of the depth in the draft at D tackle.
Yeah. But Milton's the guy that we talked about a little bit a few weeks ago. I can remember when we were talking about potential free agents, right? Like that kind of thing. I think he's a really interesting guy. I know he was one of the names that I was thinking about when we were saying free agent targets for the Jags.
Right.
Right. And we still had, T. Higgins and Trey Smith on that list. So obviously 2 of those spots have been taken off the list already for the team. But he was a guy that I was at least considering when I think I wound up putting John Reed as the defensive tackle on my list among the free agents for the Jags to go after, but it was with Milton kind of in the same headspace in my mind, right? Like they were both kind of the same kind of thing. So I wouldn't be all that surprised if they wound up going that direction with it.
I think, too, another guy, Drew Dahlman, we found out yesterday is not going to get the franchise tag, supposed to be the best center on the market. Yes, Mitch Morse was a solid starter last year, but he was only on a short deal, and he's only got one more year here with Jacksonville. I would have no issue if that's where they elected to spend some free agent money on a more proven commodity who's younger. Mitch Morse was a proven commodity. He's just in his 30s now. Dahlman's 26 years old. So, there are some interesting guys at some positions other than defensive back, I guess, is my point. You get into this range. This is just a list over at NFL.com, and it's not gospel, certainly. It's really just one person's opinion. But Higgins and Smith, who are both getting tagged, were at the top of the list. So they're off the board. Milton Williams is number 3 overall out of every player. So he's basically considered, at least there, the number 1 available free agent at any position. Ronnie Stanley, after that, you wouldn't think the Jags are going to go for a straight offensive tackle.
Wouldn't think.
Considering the way the roster's set up right now. Zach Bond, I don't think they're going to spend their money at linebacker. They're not going to be in the Sam Darnold sweepstakes. Osa Odigizua is expected to get the franchise tag if they don't work out a deal. Then you come to Josh Sweat, yeah. But, man, you got to pay through the nose for an edge, and you've got a couple of capable edge rushers. Chris Godwin at 9, and then this is why, I think it makes sense when you look at DB, and particularly corner, Carlton Davis, Charvarius Ward, DJ Reed, the next 3 guys. You don't get Byron Murphy at 15. Maybe he re-ups with Minnesota, maybe he doesn't. That's 4 guys just outside the top 10 that any one of them would walk in here and upgrade your secondary significantly.
For sure. Look, and corner and safety are 2 spots that in free agency, if you have needs at those spots, you ought to be able to fill them pretty easily, right? You're not going to fill your need at guard in all likelihood in free agency, at least not starting caliber necessarily, right? It's
maybe a stopgap.
Maybe. Right, and I think the options, as we were just discussing at the defensive interior, are pretty limited. It's not that there aren't guys that are going to be available, but they're pretty limited. I would expect that they're likely going to sign a defensive interior guy in free agency, but I don't know what kind of impact that player is going to have really for the football team. But I think if you're looking for impact in free agency, keeping Chris Godwin at the top of that list, given the relationship he has with your current head coach, makes sense to me. Right, as being kind of the apple of your eye if you're going to go into it. But I think they can find impact at safety and corner on the roster in free agency.
Yeah, I do too.
And there's so much depth at those 2 spots in the free agent market that, yeah, if you go in and you sign 3 guys, right, between those 2 spots in free agents, it'd be like, yeah, makes sense.
I don't know if they are going to sign an interior defensive lineman in free agency or not.
I don't expect it.
It is so deep in this draft. Dylan and I were just talking on a break a few minutes ago about as we do these mock drafts, and you're like, and granted, we're not, draft experts. We're not breaking down the film like James Gladstone and company hopefully are this very moment in time. But, you get to the second round and you're like, oh, there's a name I've heard a lot of good things about. And then you go, oh, I take him. Oh, man, if I'd waited to the third round, I had all these guys available to me. There are a lot of high quality defensive tackles that can come in and help. And you've got, I still want to find out what they've got in Mason Smith eventually, right?
Sure.
So I'm not saying, look, it's a position you rotate a lot of guys. I'm not saying you can't spend draft capital. I'm not saying they're going to love Mason Smith's film or anything like that. But I'd be surprised, but it's just a different way of looking at it. If getting a known commodity in a guy like Milton Williams at his age, who's performed at the highest level in the postseason and performed as well as he did. Now, then again, a lot of guys have made a lot of money in free agency off big postseasons and never lived up to it, too. So there's that. But the way NFL.com put it, not re-signing him might be the rare Howie Roseman decision that he'd like back, at least not re-signing him sooner. They still may end up getting Milton Williams back in the fold. If you're him, you can win a championship with the team that you're currently on. All right, coming up, we're going to go through our Tuesday top 5. But before we do, why don't we let Tony take us around what's happening in the NFL?
Now, gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Reports are out there that Tampa Bay will not be using their franchise tag on wide receiver Chris Godwin. Minnesota won't be using it on Sam Darnold. It was officially announced by the player in this regard yesterday. The Cincinnati Bengals will use their tag on wide receiver T. Higgins for the second year in a row, and T looked thrilled about it on social media. Philadelphia is cutting cornerback Darius Slay. The Eagles will still carry Slay's $13.8 million salary cap number on their books going into 2025, but could mitigate that to some degree by designating him a post-June 1st cut designation. They also released Ray Bradbury this morning. Green Bay has re-signed linebacker Isaiah McDuffie to a 2-year, $8 million deal that could be worth up to $9.5 million. And Jimmy Johnson is retiring from the job on Fox's NFL coverage. After 31 years there, Johnson was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a member of the 2020 class after winning 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. He also lost his last game as an NFL coach in January of 2000 when Brock Marion was whatever the audio equivalent of being posterized in football should be called, while chasing Fred Taylor in the Jaguars' 62-7 romp of the Dolphins in the divisional round of the playoffs that year.
All right, thank you, Tone. So Bill Belichick will not get the spotlight of Hard Knocks for his North Carolina program after finding out a day ahead of time that he was apparently going to get it, which I think is a huge, I mean, you think about it, that's a huge recruiting advantage to have a film series on how you're doing it behind the scenes. And, you know, Belichick, whenever he gets, talking X's and O's, is a guy who's super impressive to listen to, and just X's and O's in the history of the game. And I'm sure if you could, in terms of motivation and different ways of going about it, just, look, you don't have to like him. He's been ridiculously successful for the most part, right? And you can say it hadn't been that way without Tom Brady. Fine. He's still won a lot of Super Bowls, a lot of championships, and is within striking distance of the all-time coaching wins record.
Yeah, I think you can chalk that up in the same category as fans that are like, why would we want a Kansas City offensive lineman with what just happened to him in the Super Bowl?
Correct.
It's like, relax, guys.
Right.
Bill Belichick is still Bill Belichick.
Right. Doesn't mean just because you came up one game short doesn't mean your offensive line is all of a sudden trash. Right. And there were in part reasons for that. Again, I mean, you factor all this in. If Kansas City thought that way, why are they going to give Trey Smith $23 million to play 1 year? Yeah. Right. But I'm not a Belichick fan, so the fact that this fell through kind of makes me happy about this. And you wonder how it got out, and Pro Football Talk is speculating, did somebody leak it to kill it before the ink was dry, on it? Because there's a lot of, apparently a lot of anti-Belichick sentiment and maybe a little anti-Michael Lombardi sentiment as well, as he's been burning bridges on Belichick's behalf since he's taken his talents to the college game in Chapel Hill. But and it looks like there won't be any Hard Knocks this year is where we're at, unless they come up with some other pivot that we're unaware of at this point in time. All right, so today's Tuesday Top 5, looking for the top 5 offensive building blocks for the Jacksonville Jaguars, factoring in everything: age, production, contract, salary, you name it. We'll go through our top 5 lists and look at some of yours as we move straight ahead through Jaguars Today here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Take us into the black hole. They may not be able to beam you into the future, but they can make your ride home a lot more fun. Frank French and Hayes Carline.
The Frangie Show.
Afternoons on 1010XL. Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
Florida homeowners, storms don't wait, so why should you? Universal Roof and Contract protects your home and your wallet. Invest in a stronger roof and save big. Spend $6,000 and get up to $600 off. $15,000 up to $2,000 off. $20,000 up to $3,000 off. This deal ends March 31st. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not looking at the rear-view mirror of unforgiveness. It's so easy to keep looking in the past when someone has hurt or offended us. What we don't realize that if we keep looking at the rear-view mirror of anger, it will cause us to miss out on the good things that God has in store right in front of us. Friends, looking in the rear-view mirror of the past will never give you peace in the present.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you have told us about buying better quality diamonds, but is there any way to start with a smaller diamond and use it to trade up to a larger diamond later on?
Frank, it's interesting you'd ask that because our founder, H.F. Underwood, popularized growing your diamond here in Jacksonville about 50 years ago, and it's something we still do today. When a customer buys an Underwood engagement ring or solitaire diamond pendant or a pair of ear studs, we guarantee they get the price they paid for it on the purchase of any larger diamond. Now, a lot of stores would say, big deal. We do that too, but here's the Underwood difference. We guarantee you get what you paid when you trade in your Underwood diamond, even if you're trading up by only $1. It's not that you have to trade up 2 for 1 like most jewelers ask. There have been literally thousands of people in the Jacksonville area who have taken advantage of our policy, and Underwood still grows a lot of diamonds for a lot of people.
Underwood, serving excellence since 1928. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Your hole-in-one for men's health is Ackerman Urology. With offices in Mandarin, Middleburg, World Golf Village, and the beaches, Ackerman will get you on par for any prostate conditions and sexual vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
I'm Max Fink, and I'm your Gator Updater. Listen for the Gator Report several times a week on 1010XL.
Freshened up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
Take your taste buds to One Night Taco Stand for Taco Tuesday. Get $2.99 tacos and $6.99 specialty drinks. The 1010XL restaurant of the day is One Night Taco Stand, Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
Duck Rooter is currently hiring in all departments. We want great plumbers, CDL drivers, drain field installers, and lift station technicians. If you have experience in your trade and love to deliver a super high-quality level of customer service, you have found the right company. You will enjoy our benefits package that includes excellent weekly pay, paid holidays, health insurance, and working for the best in the industry. Apply at duckduckrooter.com. That's duckduckrooter.com. And click on the careers page. Duck Rooter is an equal opportunity employer.
The Golf Club of Southampton has plenty going on, from a great round to a round with your buds, soaking up some football and great grub. Every Saturday and Sunday at Southampton, enjoy their game day special. Wings tossed in your favorite sauce and a cold pitcher of beer. Membership opportunities to take advantage of, too. Join Southampton with a paid initiation, and you'll get a $500 gift card. Perfect for golf, pro shop purchases, or the clubhouse. Check it out. It's all happening at the Golf Club of Southampton.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts March 6th. A tribute like you've never seen before. Staying Alive features the songs and sights of a full Bee Gees playlist, performed live. Experience Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and more live on stage. Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees, March 6th at Jacksonville Center for the Performing Arts. Tickets at fscjartistseries.org.
How much do the performers for Super Bowl halftime shows get paid?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Super Bowl performers are not paid for their shows, but production costs are covered by the NFL, which could go as high as $15 million.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, man, got a lot of submissions already today. Tone will look at some of them, and particularly to see who the outliers are. Seen some Ezra Cleveland as a building block for the Jags, which is fun. Look, again, I think you get outside the top two.
Yeah.
And it's open season on whomever you think. I mean, I think you can reasonably, and like I wouldn't have gone, like Jamal St. said, hey, I think it's Anton Harrison or Travis Etienne. Man, it'd be tough for me to consider Travis Etienne a building block.
Yeah, he's not my 5.
Right. I
thought about him for a minute, but I was like,
It's already had
one
some
more
tread
year,
taken
probably
off those
here.
tires, right? He's only under contract for one more year.
Right, like that kind of thing. It's like,
Are you going to pay him $10 million?
Yeah.
Which
Like, I
might
think-
be the going cost for him.
Yeah, there's the potential for him to have a really big role in it, again this year. Like,
Sure. Absolutely.
That's very real.
I'd expect him to be to have the most touches of any Jaguar running back.
Right.
If that's
So
fair.
is he a building block for 2025? Yes. Like if we were doing a 2025 exclusive list, it would be, I think I'd have him in my 5 among the offensive building blocks.
I think you could debate he and Tank. I think you can.
Probably.
I'd probably lean towards Etienne. I'm just saying, I
Yeah.
don't think it's just absolute slam the book closed and there's no discussion on it.
I get it. But yeah, Etienne not in my 5.
Yeah, me either. Offensive line, like how many candidates are there even? I mean, it's your tackles or Cleveland maybe. I mean, Morse is not a building block at his age, and you don't have a right guard to speak of right now.
And I was trying to think through it. I could have done this. I just didn't. Is go through some of the other teams, maybe even in the division, and say, all right, who are their 5? Right? Like the offensive building blocks. If I'm just looking at their roster and saying they're 5 offensive building blocks, because I don't even think if you look at it in Washington, it's all that easy to do the 5. Right? Like the building blocks. I think it's easy in Kansas City and Philadelphia, right, to find their 5.
Oh, sure.
Right? But I don't think it's necessarily all that easy in Washington, which explains a little bit of some of the trepidation, I think, putting this list together. There were guys that I thought about as the, not even also-rans on the list, more the, my goodness, did I want them to be on the list?
Right. Does this guy deserve to be a top 5 building block type player?
Wanted desperately for them to earn that kind of spot. And this is the thinking through it the last couple of years. It's like, yeah, I want Luke Fortner to be one of the 5. Absolutely. And I thought he might be.
After his rookie year.
Right. Thought he might be, but he's not. I would desperately want Cooper Hodges to be a guy that you could rely on.
Well, that's a guy that, yes, had he been able to stay healthy for 2 years, maybe we'd feel like, wow, we got a good one on a steal of a rookie deal.
Like, we were going into this list going, all right, we know the top 2. Do I want to put this guy or Cooper at 3? Right? Like, if he was the starter at guard, we'd be talking about it. At least it's, that kind of thing. But he's not at that point in time. And I think when he got signed, given where the roster is at this point, maybe Gabe Davis would be a guy that I would love to be able to consider for it. But he is so far off the reservation when it comes to that right
But
now.
even when he got signed, I think you would have had him behind Christian Kirk. You would have certainly had him behind Evan Ingram.
Sure, but given where Kirk is coming off the injury,
now,
like all those,
yes.
Like if Gabe had been a good player for him last year.
If he had put up a Buffalo Bills type of year like he had for 4 years in a row.
Yeah,
basically.
I think he would have been in this 5.
And that's the thing. Like right now, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk might not be on this team.
Yep.
Or they might be the 2 most impactful pass catchers not named Brian Thomas Jr. on this team.
Could be.
Right? I mean, could be either one, or could be one of them. So it's very tough. Their ages and their contract status make it feel like they're not long for the Jags. And
maybe 2025 if they're both back, and that's it. Yeah.
Before we get to the top 5, ask Jamal St. Cyr, Channel 4, join us in hour number 1, what he thinks about those 2 guys coming back. And he thinks it's more likely that Kirk is back.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Probably not. I'd probably lean Ingram, but it's just a lean.
Like, you'd save more against the cap by releasing Christian Kirk than you would Evan Ingram. And I feel like Parker Washington's a better, reasonable facsimile of him than Brenton Strange. Brenton Strange is an interesting player. He's a good player with some hopefully bright future ahead of him, but I don't think he's the receiver that Evan Ingram is.
No, we had the question, I think it was on Thursday last week while you were out, that was just which player, if they let go of both of them this offseason, which of those backups would you be more confident in taking over a starting role for the football team, right? It was just basically Strange or Washington. Which one do you feel better about? And Brenton Strange took down the poll with like 75% of the vote.
And I even voted for Strange, but I think it's a different kind of tight end. Then I don't know.
Absolutely.
Like, I wouldn't look at him as a guy I could get 100 receptions out of. If
probably not
necessarily. Like, I feel like Parker Washington can be close to what Christian Kirk was, a couple of years ago for the Jags. I think he could, but that isn't necessarily, like, to me, when you're talking about a starter, I don't have to start 3 wide receivers, right? I could start a couple of tight ends. I think I could see Brenton Strange being a good starter because he is a good blocker and he's a capable receiver, not an outstanding one, in my opinion. Whereas I feel like Parker Washington can do a lot of the things Christian Kirk can do. At least hopefully he grows more and more into that role. But I don't necessarily look at him and say he has to be a starter for this football team. No. So it's weird. Like, I feel like he's a better replica of the guy he'd be replacing than Strange is, but I answered Strange when I voted in the poll last week. So, all right, who are the top 5 offensive building blocks currently on the Jags roster? Dylan, let's start the countdown.
Number 5.
All right, Pockets. There's a quarter. Dang it. I've been pretty good. I think I went through all of February without calling you that. Up to I think I exhausted the dollar I gave you at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, the dollar's gone now.
So I now owe you 25 cents. Dylan Denmark, who you got at 5?
I will go Walker Little. This was the hardest one because it was, is it him, Mitch Morris, Evan Ingram's probably not going to be here in 2 years. Parker Washington, I don't think that highly of. So I'll go Walker Little at 5 just by default because I think he'll be here for another 2 or 3 years.
All right, Tony?
Walker Little. Likely to be the team's left tackle through 26. Flexibility to play 4 positions along the offensive line. I think left tackle is his best spot. Still just 26. We all have whatever feelings we have about Walker Little. Why didn't he win a starting job before that? How committed will a front office and coaching staff that didn't pay him be to him? But given his age, his ability, the opportunity that he's likely to be given now by the team, I chose him for this out of a short list of a few other options that in the end, I just don't like as much for this discussion.
I gotcha. I couldn't do it with Walker Little for a variety of reasons. I don't like, for one thing, what if you do draft Will Campbell and Will Campbell shows he can play left tackle? What do you do with Walker Little at that point in time? Can he play multiple positions? Yes. Can he play them all well? I'm not convinced of that right now. So anyway, that's fine. You're not the only ones who have Walker Little in there. I went with Brenton Strange at number 5. I think, a lot of people have him in there because I think he's a solid piece. He's a guy that you can have on the field, whether you're in the 2 or 4 minute drill or whether you're trying to run the ball down a team's throat in the second half and secure a victory. And I don't know if he's ever going to be, a Pro Bowl level receiving tight end. Even in that game last year, he had all those catches. He had like 71 yards. Yeah. It was a lot of dink-dunk stuff. I do think he gives you everything he has. I think he's a very physical player. I like the way he approaches the game. So I've got him at number 5. All right, let's continue on.
Number 4.
All right, let's go in the same order, Dylan. Who you got at 4?
Brenton Strange. I wanted to go Evan Ingram, but more of the contract, the age. I went Brenton Strange at 4 for me.
Okay.
Brenton Strange at number 4. His ability to help the team in the run game as a blocker made it pretty easy, honestly, for me to put him at this point in the list, given especially the clear emphasis that's being placed on by the team on getting better at running the football for the franchise this offseason. I think Brenton Strange is a big help in that kind of department when he's on the field. So number 4 for me.
That's fair. I went with Parker Washington. I feel like these guys are almost interchangeable, right? I went with Parker at 4 because today it is a passing league. Yeah, you want to run the ball, and all that's fantastic, but I think if you're going to say, hey, Parker Washington's going to play the Christian Kirk slot role for this team, who's going to be a more productive receiver, I think it would be easily Parker Washington compared to Brenton Strange. It doesn't mean he's a better all-around player. I just think that in today's NFL, there's more value in that. Like, if these guys hit free agency, I would expect Parker Washington at the end of their rookie years, that they continue to progress, to make more money, to be a more coveted,
wide receivers
piece.
are more coveted.
Right. And so for that reason, I put him in at number 4. All right, what's next?
Number 3.
Anton. Best one that was available. That was not number 1 and 2. One that hard decision for me.
Okay.
I have Anton at number 3 as well. First round pick, tackle, and the offensive lineman currently on the roster that I'm most confident will be on the roster beyond 2025, despite having Walker Little on my list at 5. There are other linemen under contract like Walker Little for the football team, but Anton, we all have our questions about him as well. You know, it's kind of the Walker thing. It's like, what happened after your rookie year?
Which one is the real Anton?
Right.
Sophomore slump, or did you play above your head as a rookie?
We were talking about what point did they switch him to the left? Right? Like, that was the conversation we were having about Anton, and now the conversation is mostly just, hey, man, where's that rookie again? And if he can get back to that kind of level, then it's pretty easy for him to have him there. But he's got 2 years left on the deal and likely a 5th-year option. So likely 3 more years is at least the right tackle for the football team.
Again, put them all right now, make them all free agents. Anton Harrison easily gets the most money of any offensive lineman on the Jags in free agency, in my opinion. Right?
Sure.
And I do think that potential is there. Yeah, and I also get people looking at last year and saying he was not very good, and he wasn't. But
who was?
The age, the contract, the rookie contract status, the ability to play either side of the offensive line, all these things. He's cheaper than Walker Little right now, but more valuable. Yeah, I went with Anton as well, and I think this is, it's almost by default. You wish you felt really good. You wish you felt like you had a guy that was on the brink of breaking through to the Pro Bowl at number 3, and the Jags just don't, at this moment, have anybody that fits that bill. Moving on.
Number 2.
Brian Thomas Jr., the best player at his position on the team, and he's the best player on the team that's not a quarterback.
BTJ, it took the coaching staff 3 months to see what they had in him. That's no longer going to be the case, obviously, for the man through whom the passing game will run, according to the new head coach for the football team, so that won't be an issue. The Jaguars have not had players with the kind of juice that he appears to have since Fred, Mojo, and Jimmy left the franchise. There was a moment when we thought Allen Robinson might be that. He was ascending to that kind of thing. It went so quickly, and he obviously didn't turn into that. As a rookie, BTJ had the 5th best receiving yardage season in franchise history, and only the 5th double-digit reception touchdown season in franchise history. Jimmy never had one of those. As great as Jimmy was, and he's worthy of all the Hall of Fame consideration that he gets, Jimmy never had that double-digit touchdown season. The only other 4 players that did it, Robinson and Hearns, both in 2015. Robinson leading the franchise with 14 that year. Mercedes Lewis with 10, and Reggie Williams with 10.
Yeah, this is really tough, honestly. I think 1 and 2 are extremely close, and we all know who 1 and 2 are on all these lists.
Just
and
the order.
It's the order because – it's how much is the quarterback making? You got Brian Thomas, who's played at a Pro Bowl level on a rookie contract, right? But in the end, like I said in the first hour, in that hypothetical scenario of the Giants want to acquire Brian Thomas Jr. or Trevor Lawrence from you, you're going to get more for Trevor Lawrence, even with that contract, in my opinion. And we'll get to number 1 here coming up. But for all the things you guys said, I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. is the surest thing that they have. I think we'd all agree with that.
Yeah.
It only comes down to the importance of the position that they play that puts Trevor at the top of the list. So let's make it official, Dylan.
Number 1.
10-10 Take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 Take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran-owned and operated.
All right, we've all got them there, so we can all weigh in on this. But look, in the end, watch the way the NFL offseason is unfolding for the teams that don't have quarterbacks and what their options are like right now, right? Do the Vikings bring back Sam Darnold? I don't know. This guy's been a bust. He's had 1 good year in his career, but then 2 games turn you off, like 2 games. And all of a sudden, he's not the guy that had you playing for the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed in the NFC in the final week of the season. And so do we go with a rookie who was injured all year long? He may be the apple of everyone's quarterback eye on the free agent market. People were desperate to trade for 36, 37-year-old Matthew Stafford. Aaron Rodgers will probably get another shot out there. Trevor Lawrence would be so easily the most coveted quarterback if he were available.
You would hardly hear another word about another free agent.
It would
if
be
Trevor
all
Lawrence
about
was a free agent.
Where he's the domino, the first domino that's got to fall before all this other stuff falls into place. And that's what it comes down to, Tone. Yeah, is he making more money than he should based on what he's done? That's kind of the economics of the league. Honestly, at the end of the day, the money is not as big an issue for me. The salary cap just jumped another $20 million.
Yeah.
So whatever you were getting ready to pay Trevor $55 million, okay, it's like $35 million now, right? Because it's only going to grow. The salary cap, by the time he's in the second year of the new money, is going to swallow up.
We said it
all
when the deal got done.
Him.
Yeah, we talked about it when the deal got done. It's like it won't be a big deal by the time they're paying him.
No.
Right? Like it's just not going to be.
And they're not paying him that money yet.
No. He's the quarterback and he's gotten the mega contract. His place on this list isn't a statement that he gave them enough last year after getting the deal, but an acknowledgement of why I was good with the deal then. I'm still good with the deal now. And I think it's fair to consider it a vote of confidence that Liam Cohen is going to unlock more of the potential than what we have seen so far from him. And I have no doubt that he'll put in the work to unlock it himself. Like, he's going to work as hard as you have to work to get it done.
Dylan, anything to add to that?
No, I was just thinking, like, if he were, if the Jags put him on the trade block, what would he be offered?
That's what I'm saying.
It would be astronomical. Because, it's him and Sam Darnold's 2, probably. And then Aaron Rodgers 3.
You would get multiple first-round picks for Trevor Lawrence. And you'd get a bunch for Brian Thomas Jr., considering the contract, considering the ability, all that. There's no question about it. Brian Thomas Jr., unlike T. Higgins, might bring a couple of first-rounders. Like if you were under a franchise tag situation because of the youth, and the field stretching, the explosiveness, which, he's got everything you could possibly want. But in my opinion, he still wouldn't bring as much as 16 would.
Quarterback's the quarterback.
For this football team. All right, we got to take our final time out here. When we return, we'll look at some of the other names that were mentioned. And again, love it to be a case like with the Eagles where you got to cut too many good players. They got all those offensive linemen, right? They got A.J. Brown. They got Devontae Smith. They got Saquon, and, of course, Jalen Hurts. There's not room for everybody in the top 5 there. That's where we need to get to. James Gladstone and company, get on your horse. Let's get going. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. Normally, around this time, I'd be telling you about how delicious Dandy's sandwiches are, and they are absolutely delicious and want you to consider them anytime you're hungry, driving around Duval, just swinging through an area gate station. But this week, I'm going to hit pause on that a little bit because Dandy would like me to tell you about a great little golf tournament going on right here in Jacksonville, right now on the First Coast. You have the opportunity to see LPGA Tour stars of tomorrow competing at Atlantic Beach Country Club, March 6th through the 8th. It's the Epson Tours Atlantic Beach Classic presented by Access Golf, and it's the second stop on the pathway to the top 15 ladies receiving LPGA Tour cards at the end of the season. So get out there, enjoy some golf, support the ladies of tomorrow. The IQ Fiber Linkside Lounge is the best value around, an all-inclusive ticket with food, beer, wine, and spirits for only $75. Simply visit AtlanticBeachClassic.com and enter promo code IQ for this special rate. And remember, when you're hungry, go out and make yours a dandy. And do it today.
Your radio highlight reel.
Caught for the touchdown.
1010XL, home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Enhance your home with Renewal by Anderson's exclusive 31-day spring event. Experience superior craftsmanship and timeless design with buy one, get one 40% off custom replacement windows and patio doors. Enjoy the ease of 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires March 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613. When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
It's game time for your business, and Advanced Business Solutions has the winning play. With Xerox copiers, you'll never miss a deadline. Fast, reliable, and built for high performance, Xerox copiers keep your team ahead of the competition. From printing to scanning, Xerox brings the MVPs of efficiency to your office. Ready to make the winning move? Hire the champions at Advanced Business Solutions. Veteran owned.
Printers, copiers, and IT management. Advanced Business Solutions.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island or Bud Light Seltzer, dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
It's about the hunt.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman. We take you from the water to the woods.
On the Nimnicht Outdoors Show. Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
Saturday mornings from 7 to 10 on 1010XL.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyoublow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
The Players, one of the biggest events on the PGA Tour, is right here in our backyard. So how much do you know about the tournament? Scotty Scheffler returns to Ponte Vedra as the first ever to defend his title as a Players champion and now seeks a three-peat. If he can, he'll join Jack Nicklaus as the only two to win the Players 3 times. Sawgrass Asset Management, specializing in high-quality growth stock and fixed-income portfolios for institutional and high-net-worth investors. A Jacksonville company proud to be involved in the community.
Welcome, John, our new admin lead.
Thanks.
You've got your laptop, all your admin apps. Oh, and you'll be in charge of ordering food for the team. So here's your drawer full of menus.
Whoa.
You'll keep your receipts in this file folder. Whoops, receipt confetti.
Oh, dear.
Oh, and all these sticky notes have everyone's dietary preferences.
Have you tried Easy Cater? Online ordering from great restaurants, tools to save time and stay on budget, digital receipts in one place.
We're gonna need a bigger recycling bin.
Easy Cater, the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. Order now at easycater.com.
The First Tee Tour Card is back for 2025 and better than ever, with access to over 15 of North Florida's best courses and new this year, local participating businesses. This card is your ticket to saving hundreds. First Tee North Florida is a local nonprofit who build character in youth participants through the game of golf. This annual fundraiser enables this amazing organization the ability to build game changers. Grab your tour card for just $99 at tourcard.org for a list of participating partners, benefits, and restrictions.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, the Cool Down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, coming down the stretch here, helmets and heels coming your way for the next couple hours. A quick reminder for tomorrow, if you want to participate, Mock Draft Wednesday. We'll see what we do next week with free agency opening up. May still slip one in. We don't have to spend the whole show debating it, but certainly next week will be a lot of focus on who you want in free agency, reaction, who they sign. Because next Wednesday when it opens up, what did it open up last year? Noon on Wednesday? I want to say it was noon.
I believe that's correct.
Right, because there was a lot of action happening in the afternoon that got done that first day.
Yep.
Those signings. So, regardless, that's then. For tomorrow, we're still doing over at Pro Football Network. I did my first one without a single trade in it, Tony, this time around. So we'll unveil those tomorrow. Tony Pauline going to join us for some post-combine discussion from sportskita.com as well. Today, I got a lot of responses, and we did, people just sending 2 names, saying we don't have more than 2 building blocks. And I get what you're saying. Like, if you want to say, here's my definition of building block, and only these guys fit into it. But I think the exercise is more to show you, okay, who do you think the next 3 most important guys are, whether you deem them actual building blocks or whatever, and how difficult or easy is it to fit them into the top 5 and to eliminate some other guys. Going through some here, Doom had the same 5 I did, just had them in a different order. He had Trevor at 5 because of the contract, still the most important player, he acknowledged. Anton at 4, Parker at 3, Strange at 2, and, of course, Brian Thomas Jr. If you're not going to have Trevor at 1, then you're going to have Brian Thomas Jr. there. Let's see, Odie, not including Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor, went with the next 5. See, who are you cutting? Which 3 make it in? He went with ETN, Walker, Little, Strange, Anton, and Tank. I can't go with either. Running backs are just such a replaceable commodity. And I get these guys are not Saquon. Okay, for everyone's going, well, look at Saquon. Look at Josh Jacobs. Show me when these guys have proven to be those players.
If they spent a draft pick in anywhere from round 2 to 6 on a running back this year, they might be the starter.
Correct.
Right? Like, that's how I look at the running back position. It's not that they're guaranteed to do that, but if they did, it'd be like, all right.
I think it's like once you get outside maybe round 2, even 3 area, it's unlikely to me that that guy would be the starter, but he could be the starter of the future.
Yeah.
Could be the RB of the future kind of thing. And I just, Tank versus ETN, I think is a decent debate.
Sure.
Because ETN's only on the 5th-year option right now if you're factoring in the contract. And how likely are they to spend the money to bring him back? Even if it's like an Aaron Jones type deal, $7 million, right? Are they going to feel the need to do that when they want to build through the lines of scrimmage? I feel like, Tony, and I'm not alone in this. I'm not breaking any great theory here, but running back's almost the icing on the cake. It's the last piece or one of the last pieces you add.
Sure.
It's why those guys had so much success last year. You saw Aaron Jones. You saw Josh Jacobs. You saw Saquon Barkley. You saw Derrick Henry go to teams that are generally in the playoff mix every year anyway, and they could take that team to a slightly higher level. In some cases, like Saquon, take them to the ultimate level. Many, again, I'm going to skip the ones, many with Lawrence and BTJ and nobody else on there. Harrison Strange, Tank as the others. You could just presume who the other 2 are. ETN, Strange, and Washington. A lot of the same guy. Ezra Cleveland is probably the most, outside the box. Some people try to throw Cam Little in there. Cam Little's not an offensive player. As much as, yes, he scores points. You can score points on defense, too. He's a special teamer. So if you were considering him an offensive player, I probably would have had him in there at one of those 5 spots because of how good he was. When you can find a kicker that you don't have to think about potentially for the next 8 to 10 years, that's got some value. And yes, they're very replaceable, but they're replaceable for a reason because year after year consistency is hard to find with these guys. You hope what you saw as a rookie out of Cam Little is more of what's to come in the years ahead. So let's see. Nobody else really standing out. I don't think anybody else really would make this list. Probably Ezra Cleveland just got 1 or 2 mentions in here. And I get it. He's a solid player, but not, Pro Bowl level. At least he doesn't look like that. Man, I really would like to know what the current brain trust thinks of some of these guys, and
for sure
we'll
find out over time.
Right. Look, Ezra Cleveland, like, you're not going to just he's signed to a reasonable contract even if you feel like you can upgrade. I don't think that's the priority right now when you got so many other holes you've got to fill. All right, this show wrapping up for us, so let's head out and talk to Helmets and Heels at a Jacksonville Golf and Country Club.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
All right, Taylor Dahl here with us at Jacksonville Golf and Country Club. What's up, Taylor? How are you?
Hello, we are great. We're out here watching UNF Collegiate Women's Golf Tournament right now, so beautiful day, enjoying some golf.
All right, awesome. I'm not going to ask you for your full list of 5, but I'll do it this way. We're talking about the 5 most important offensive building blocks currently on the Jags today, okay? So presuming that Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. would be there for you, who is the next most important offensive player that they have currently under contract for the long term?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that I would have to start with the one offensive lineman that I think will be here for a long time and that I like, and that's Anton Harrison. I have been very vocal on how I kind of want a clean sweep of the offensive line, and so outside of him, there's a lot of question marks, I think, or maybe just guys that you don't think will be here long term, and I think that Anton has proven he can be that guy, and if we want to start building in front of Trevor, which we've talked about a lot being a very important thing, I think that has to be one of the people that you want to be your building block and hope to be that building block.
Right. I think that's a good way of putting it. I think we're more now in a position of hoping that this guy lives up to that kind of status as opposed to, the high level teams where 5 is not enough spots to find building. Yeah. You want to put 7 or 8 guys in those lists. So, all right, what else will you guys be getting into today?
Yeah, so we are going to, yesterday we broke down and we did our 5 players that we would like to see on the Jaguars, whether that was through free agency or through the draft. Now, for the rest of the week, we are going to start breaking down by position group our top 3 names for each of the highly needed position groups here in Jacksonville. So obviously interior offensive line, the defensive line. We'll talk about the safety room, the cornerback room. We're trying to decide if we're going to do edge or wide receiver. That's kind of going back and forth. But today we're going to hop on it. We're going to go ahead and do our offensive linemen. So we're each going to name our 3 offensive linemen out of the draft that we like the most, that we think would be the best fit for the Jags. So we'll do that. We also have Nick Morrow coming on. He is the athletic director for UNF. So we'll talk all things UNF. And also we'll talk with Coach Schroeder some women's golf too.
All right. Awesome. Sounds like a full show. So get to it. Have a great day out there.
Thanks, guys.
All right. There you go. Helmets and Heels coming your way from Jags Golf and Country Club. Thanks to Jamal St. from Channel 4 for stopping by today. Tomorrow, Tony Pauline talks combine reactions with us. And if you've got time to knock out a 7-round mock over at Pro Football Network, you need about 3 minutes to do it. But if you're so inclined, screenshot it, send it to us tomorrow, and we'll continue to build towards the Jags improving this roster this offseason. That'll do it for Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark. I'm Mike Dempsey. We're back with more Jaguars Today tomorrow from 10 to noon on 1010XL 92.